God keep our land.
Glorious and free. I know the words.
Oh, Canada,
Canada, we
we
stand
stand
on
on
guard
guard for
for thee.
thee.
I'm gonna get chills when that plays. I'm gonna be yawning the rest of the time.
Hello and welcome back to Dodgers Debate. I'm Jack Harris, the LA Times Dodger beat writer, along with our columnists, Bill Plaschke and Dylan Hernandez, who I know, neither of you had a strong rooting interest in the World Series. You definitely didn't care if it were going to be 6 hour flights to Toronto or 3 hour flights to Seattle with only one trip.
I
Uh,
got Jack. I got one question for Dylan. Dylan, you ready for the first question of the World Series?
Sure.
Who's the starting outfield for the Toronto Blue Jays? Can you name one
Um,
of them?
Barger,
What's his first name? Go look.
Addison,
Good job, Dylan. All right.
he's looking.
Who's the other two?
George Springer.
Nope.
He doesn't play first in the outfield. Where is he?
No, DH.
Oh, I just assumed that Fatty Vladdy was the DH, but I guess
Patty
he's not.
Vladdy. Okay,
Oh
great.
God.
Dalton Varsho and Nathan Lucas. And no, but before last night, I had never heard of Nathan Lucas in my life. I knew I don't know who he is.
That kind of epitomizes a lot of this Blue Jays team because it does have some big names. Uh, what did you just call Vladimir Guerrero Jr.?
Fatty Vladdy.
Vladdy, Vladdy. Well, he's been really good, Vladdy, in October. He's having an historic postseason. Obviously, they have George Springer.
Jack, is Bo Bichette going to play?
That's to be determined. John Schneider, the Blue Jays manager, said he's making significant progress. He would be the other kind of big star name that the Blue Jays have. But when you look at this team, I think the big difference between the Blue Jays and the Mariners, who the Dodgers played them, is this Blue Jays lineup, especially during the postseason, has been a much more complete team. To me, this is almost like what we kind of thought the Milwaukee Brewers were going to be, because this is a lineup that um, was leading baseball in batting average this year. That isn't as home run reliant as you would think. I think they're only 13th in home runs, even with guys like Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and George Springer and some of the big sluggers that they have. What they do really well is like they hit non-fastballs. They have a lot of length. They keep pressure on you 1 through 9. And even though you don't recognize a lot of these names like Barger and Lucas and even Dalton Varsho to some extent. I mean, Alejandro Kirk, people know to some extent,
Oh,
but he's
Jack,
like
Jack,
their
Jack, you just mentioned John Schneider. Wasn't he in the Dukes of Hazzard? Was, was he one of the stars of the Dukes of Hazzard? Have you ever heard of the Dukes of Hazzard?
yes.
Yeah, it was a great show with the car and Daisy Duke. And I digress. Go ahead, Jack. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Um, I don't even know where we were. It's a tricky lineup with a kind of
Dude,
patchwork
this
pitching
thing's
staff.
so done. Gonna go 4 games.
It's gonna go
You put,
four.
yeah, if you
It's
buy game
done.
5 tickets, it's gonna be a roll of the dice. I
I'm gonna
mean,
boo George. I'm gonna boo the hell out of George Springer from the press box.
dude, but George Springer, have you seen this though, Flash?
What?
One of our colleagues, kind of, MLB.com's Jesse Sanchez. His kid, his son, has like pretty
Oh, stuttering. Oh,
a
yes,
stuttering thing, right? And I think
like me.
when Mateo was 7 years old, Jesse took him to go meet George Springer, and it really seemed to kind of turn the kid's like life around, man.
That's
So
right. You know what? You're right about that.
I don't know about you. I cheer for George Springer. I was happy for him when he hit the home run. I was also really pissed off last night when he hit it because
Yeah,
I really did
you're
want to
right.
go to Seattle.
He is a
But
really nice guy. You're right about that.
yeah, if somebody was
I,
gonna screw us, I was okay with it being George Springer, I guess.
well, I wrote a column on his stuttering compared to mine, and then I saw him last night in the post game interviews, and he was great. He was great. So he's confident. So you're right. That's a good point. He
Yeah,
still cheated, but he's a good guy.
he's a good guy.
Yeah,
Good cheater.
And then Jack, is Max Scherzer going to start this series?
I if they stick with what their plan has been, then yes, he would be one of the guys pitching in the series alongside Trey Savage. It looks like will be lined up to start game one, most likely. This out of nowhere rookie.
That's gonna go really well for them.
Um, I
That's
mean,
gonna be a
look,
disaster. The Dodgers eat up guys like that all the time. Like this
The
is
Blue Jays
like,
are
why are we
so out of
talking
their
about
minds.
this series? Like
Fatty Vladdy was crying last night.
we need to be talking about like what improvements they could make to the parade this year. Like this thing is so over,
You're right.
right?
Good point.
I mean,
Slow the
seriously,
buses.
like
Slow
seriously,
the buses.
let's do this, okay? I mean, seriously, like if the Dodgers, let's just theoretically say Shohei Ohtani had really been on that plane to Toronto and had signed with the Blue Jays. I even think that even then, right now, assuming that like everything else kind of fell into place for the Dodgers, right? That Yamamoto doesn't follow Ohtani to Toronto, that he's still a Dodger. I still like. I think they could give him Ohtani, and I don't think it makes a difference.
I agree. I don't see anything in Toronto, I'm going to boo Scherzer because Scherzer quit on the Dodgers.
That would actually be the most fun game, I think, right? Because there is the guys that were around on that team, that
I
that
still
year.
remember.
Yeah, they still remembered him tapping out. I remember
Him
even
tapping out.
last year in spring training, right? Walker Buehler was coming off Tommy John, right, and he was going into like his walk year, and I remember asking him,
the
do
Tommy
you
John he
plan?
suffered after that postseason
Right, because right, probably, yeah, right, coincidentally or not, after the
because
post,
yeah, but
yeah,
it
and
was a
and
sequence of events.
and I did ask, Bueller, hey, like, do you plan, right? If say you're feeling something kind of in your arm, like, and the team needs you to pitch, right? Do you pitch regardless, or do you take it a little bit more carefully, the way maybe a guy like Max Scherzer did, right? Because Scherzer did get paid, and I just remember, Bueller just bristled at me, like I would do that, so again, there's obviously been a lot of turnover since then, but I don't think the name Max Scherzer is very much revered in the Dodgers clubhouse, say the way
It's
Clayton Kershaw
it's
did.
it's some mixed feelings, that's for sure.
You know what's better on TV from Toronto than the baseball team is that John Candy documentary. Have you all seen that? John Candy.
No.
I'd rather discuss that. John Candy, greatest comic of our generation. He was from Toronto.
Like I'll push back on this a little. This is like the one kind of matchup that I like if things kind of fall into place for Toronto because the
Fall into
Dodgers,
place how? What?
especially in the playoffs,
Shane Bueller's gonna
especially
give him three heroic
let me
innings?
let me let me walk you through
Their
something.
bullpen had a 6.62 ERA, Jack. A 6.62 ERA.
That
Jack,
that part's
stop.
a problem.
Jack, stop. Because
I'm
yeah,
gonna play.
and they're getting like they're gonna get like 3, 4 inning starts out of their starters. It's like too many innings to cover.
What's John Candy's greatest movie? Probably Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
The one thing that's different is like they can better adjust to some of the nasty breaking stuff that the Dodgers pitchers will throw. I think. If you look at the numbers, that's what it would suggest. They have more star talent than like the Brewers have, right? Like Vladdy, George Springer, those are guys that can punish you even from pitches that aren't very bad. I think there is the potential that this team, which also leads the majors in comebacks, Toronto does, securing their 50th of the season, I think it was last night to win that game seven. Yeah, their bullpen is a mess, but the Dodgers had, this is a team that specializes in scoring in late innings against other teams' bullpens. So I'm not going to pick Toronto to win the series, but I do think that they pose a tougher test than the Mariners would have, especially if like again a couple of their relievers can be good. I think the biggest problem there is like they don't have any like lefties you would trust very much, which is going to be a real matchup issue.
That's the problem. The Dodgers starters are going to give you 6, 7, 8 innings, and they just have to get to Sasaki, right? So really, you have to cover 1 or 2 innings at the most three, right? And you can kind of smoke and mirrors your way through that. Whereas, like, I mean, the Blue Jays are going to have to cover like half the game, right? I just think that the exposure that you have to like the parts of the bowl, right? The
I
parts of
mean,
their
look,
pitches that you don't want to throw out there.
I could see Trey Savage having a good start against them. Like it's a funky delivery. It's a guy they've never seen before. I don't think he's going to go 11 strikeouts like he did against the Yankees, but
Dude, that game's gonna start with a bomb. Otani's just gonna like he's
well,
gonna hit it.
that's
He's gonna
possible too.
rip a hole through the roof over there of
I
the
think I do think
Dodger
the
Center.
I do think the part of the series that at least to me was interesting and probably more interesting than the actual matchup is it is funny. Like the last time the Dodgers were in Toronto was early last season. So I think it was in April. Um, so right at the start of Shohei Ohtani's Dodger tenure, still just a few months removed from when the whole Toronto plane is he signing with the Blue Jays incident happened. And people still, like at that point, the Blue Jays had had a terrible offseason after that. They went on to finish in last place last season. It looked like a franchise that had kind of tried to build a young core and that it was all going to blow up because Bo Bichette wasn't any good anymore and George Springer wasn't any good and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. was headed towards free agency at some point. And that's why, like that day when the Dodgers went there, like that's the loudest booing Ohtani got from anybody of any fan base last year. It's probably the loudest booed the Dodgers have been outside of Petco Park, over the last couple seasons. And it is interesting that whatever, 18 months later now, the Blue Jays are in the World Series. Vladdy's signed to a long-term deal. George Springer had a career, like literally a career season at age 35. Bo Bichette came back. Like they found these other young pieces, and you know, after so much attention was paid in the NLCS to baseball is broken, and the this is a sign that there needs to be a lockout to put in a salary cap. Like this Blue Jays team is an example of still where the parity is at in the sport and how quickly things can turn when you get a few pieces that fall into
There
place.
is no parity. They're the most anonymous team in all sports. They're probably the most anonymous team in all. Probably, I don't know anybody that can name their lineup. Who's that catcher?
Kirk.
Alejandro Kirk.
Yeah, he's not exactly a hulking presence
Well, he's
behind home
he's
plate.
hulking in some sense.
Yeah, I don't know. The whole team bores me.
What? Hang on, you can't. You're bored by Vladdy?
No, I like Fatty Vlad. I like him. But the rest of them, who's the third baseman? Clement,
Yeah,
Jack
Ernie
Clement.
Clement. He's been another guy, but like these guys, like they've been good. Like those guys that we're brushing over, Clement and Barger and Varsho and
Yeah,
Lucas, like
Lucas.
they've been good for the Blue Jays in this postseason in a way that like this is probably the deepest lineup the Dodgers have faced if you account for the fact that like the Phillies were without Harrison Bader for most of that series and weren't very good like 6 through 9. Like this Blue Jays lineup, it has been playing at a different level than any of the Dodgers have faced so far this postseason. I think it could put their pitching staff under a different kind of stress. And
It won't.
my one
It
question about the
won't.
Dodgers
No, it'll be
is like, is
fine.
if you stress the rotation a little, right? Like
They
we've seen
they've
that
been off for like a week.
I
That's the
Especially
other
when
mean,
part.
it's
the
That's
Blue
not,
the. I
Jays.
mean, that because
it's not the
that's the
rest
other part
part.
of it. That's the other part of this, right? Because like I think like in the previous series with the Brewers, right? The Brewers look, and you got to give the Dodgers credit because they've taken care of business as early as possible, right? But like then in the other series, you see these two teams beat each other up, right? By the time the Brewers got to the Dodgers, like they had expended everything kind of in the previous series, and I think that here you got the same thing too. You had Gaussman pitching in relief last night, right? I mean, these things kind of
They're
add
gonna get
up.
3 days off. I'm pretty sure the stat is like
Yeah, I know.
the
I
last
just
three or
think,
four
right.
times it's been a
And again,
team that sweeps
to
and a
me, kind of
team.
like the question mark with, right, if there is one, kind of like with the part, okay, like we know, okay, Dodgers middle relief dicey, right? Now the other part of it, the next thing that I would worry about is Roki Sasaki, given kind of the workload and everything. But now you've given Sasaki all this time off. If he's healthy, right, if he's feeling good and he just right and he's fresh and you throw him out there, he's just going to be pumping 100. They're going to be fine. I just don't.
The best thing
I don't.
about this series, best about this series is the Canadian national anthem. I think it's better than the U.S. national anthem. Do you all agree?
Well, our national anthem is terrible.
Yeah, it is
Like
terrible.
it's our, we have like a bottom five national anthem, along with
I think I
Japan.
think that I think theirs is the best in the
Japan's.
world.
Have you heard the Japanese one? It's like funeral music.
But I love old Canada.
Yeah, they all suck.
All right, Dylan. Here's my stat for you from Sarah Lang's a season where one LCS was a sweep and other went 7 games since 1985. 2012, 2007, 2006, 1988, all 4 seasons. The team that went 7 in the CS won. I mean,
But that was a different era of baseball. That's when like men were men, and like the starter would actually pitch like 8 innings.
Yeah,
2012.
This is yeah.
'88 or Hershiser.
12 was a whole. 12 was when Kershaw was he hadn't even done like the short rest thing yet. This is a different game
Oh,
now. Their
oh,
bullpen sucks to begin
Canada,
with. The bullpen sucks to begin with, and now they're tired. This is
the
not. This is going to
native
end very very
land.
badly for Toronto.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
You know
probably.
what
From all our
okay,
sons
I mean,
coming.
I will give Jack credit for this. He tried to put the debate into Dodgers debate here, but there
That's
is
what
He's
I
some real
really
mean.
trying, Jack.
right.
In your story today, you had 9 things to worry about. You really stretched out to get 9, buddy.
Well, they
There,
weren't even
there,
nine. He's like, one of them was like their bullpen is trash. Like,
yeah,
Well,
like
that's
who's
more of a
worry
you're
about
really
for
reaching,
the
Jack. You're
it's
really trying
really
too
who's
hard,
worrying
baby.
the
You're
Blue
trying
really
too hard,
Jays?
nine
youngin.
it's really nine things to know. But if you put nine
Elders, listen to your
concerns,
elders, youngin.
I mean we're
Your
come
series is
on,
over.
we're chasing clicks here.
Oh, there we go.
Oh,
There we go.
Nine reasons the Blue Jays will upset the Dodgers. Okay,
Public
I
interest
have
of
one more. I have one more debatey question for you. Is this the most important World Series the Dodgers have played? You go back to back, at least like in LA. You can go back to back. You can cement a dynasty. You have Kershaw going out the door. I mean, look, it's like if you don't win, because I was when I was going through this, like, okay, is there a period of Dodger baseball that you would define as like a dynasty in the way we think of it now? Like, I suppose whatever the
no.
59, 63,
Yeah.
65, maybe, but like 59 to 65, almost that whole team turned over. This is a chance for the organization to cement a kind of run that I don't like. You can argue they've never really had before, um, and to do it at a point where, like, look, as we've talked about, the age could catch up with this team at any point. Could happen next year. There's going to be a lockout the season after that, most likely, right? Like, it does feel a little bit to me like this is you're probably not going to have an easier chance to win a World Series again in the next couple years, right? Like, it's very unlikely they're going to be back to the World Series with the rotation and the shape it's in now, with Otani and Mookie and Freddie playing at a certain level. And if you really do want to cement this whole thing, this whole dynasty, and make this the true golden era of Dodger or golden age of Dodger baseball, like you probably need to win a third. And if you don't do it now, like, it does feel a little bit to me like that's where the stakes of this are.
Well, I would say this. If they lose this World Series, it's the biggest failure in Dodger history, the biggest disappointment in Dodger history.
But I think in a way like last year would have been kind of worse because they hadn't really won, right? I mean, because I think that had they not won last year, it would have diminished 2020, right? As just being kind of this
Yeah.
like, right? I don't know. I never viewed it that way. Those were the rules that they played under, whatever. But I do think
And you're playing
publicly,
against the Yankees, which had its
right?
own kind of
It would have diminished this thing, and I just think that they had more to lose last year, right? I think this year, I see what you're saying. They have a lot to gain,
right.
right? This
This would be the
elevates
big.
them.
Would this be the biggest upset in World Series history if the Dodgers lose?
No, the Dodgers and A's in '88.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Sorry, Earl.
If they do lose this, it's going to be because like all of a sudden they stopped hitting, right? Or their rotation just like fell. Like something's going to have to go like pretty catastrophically wrong, I think, for them to lose. And we're going to be able, I think we're going to be able to fairly easily identify that problem, right? That top half of that order, all those stars that they have there, those guys don't hit and they lose. Like we're going to bury those guys, right? Or if the rotation like falls apart all of a sudden, they get outpitched by these guys. Like we're going to be like, well, like, what happened? I mean, right? Because they don't even have like any legitimate excuses. Like, look, whatever happens to like the Blue Jays up to again to get to this point, they've had to go through whatever they've had to go through. You're kind of like, okay, whatever. They're battle worn, whatever. If the Dodgers like blow this thing, it's just gonna be like they just choke, right? And that's why I don't think. Then that's why, by the way, I do not think it's gonna happen because like whatever it is, like again, we've seen these guys you can talk about how their maybe defensive range is like limited, whatever, but these guys make the plays that they, again, the Max Muncy play that I talked about Muncy last time, right? Just in terms of you hit the ball to him, he's not gonna mess. These guys just don't mess up. We've seen this time and time again. I don't see it happening. I don't think that they're gonna trample these guys.
I agree. Sweep. You know what? I'm already thinking three-peat. Jack, who's coming back next year?
Max Muncy's got a team option that's probably likely to get picked up. It's not very expensive. Miguel Rojas's contract is up. Uh,
No, they're all back.
Most of the guys, everybody in the bullpen except Kirby Yates, Michael Kopech will be a free agent, but the rest of them will be back.
Yeah, I mean, I do always think there's like a championship tax, right? In terms of like, with Teoscar Hernandez got the deal he got in part because, right, kind of They won a championship. He became beloved by the fans. Like you kind of have to do it. Now kind of in the long term thing, I think you look at that deal and it's like, okay, is this like a smart thing to do? But as long as they win, you do have to, I think, right?
Been
You do
smart
have
enough
to,
this postseason.
you have to give these guys a chance to kind of defend their title, right? And so, you do take that gamble of them kind of aging out of, contention next year. I don't think it'll happen. I think these guys all have kind of enough left. The pitching's good enough to get them there. If they can kind of rebuild the bullpen, I think they'll be fine. But
Well, or they'll just have Kyle Tucker playing in left field next year too.
yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
And maybe they can just also trade for Tarek Skubal or something. I mean, honestly, it all feels possible.
From all our sons come. I love that. I love that anthem. It's a great anthem.
That anthem, though, everybody says like like it's become overrated because everybody keeps talking about like how underrated it is. I'm
Well, it's a
anti-Canadian.
little meta.
I am anti-Canadian anthem now. You guys are
So great.
losing
It's
the
so
other
great.
side. Terrible anthem. Worst anthem in the world.
God keep our land.
Glorious and free. I know the words.
Oh, Canada,
We
we
stand
stand
guard
on guard
for thee.
thee. There you go.
Especially part of this World Series. I'm gonna get chills when that plays. I'm gonna be yawning the rest of the time.
There you go. And Dylan will be asleep next to you. I can't wait. Game one's on Friday.